yesterday to do a UFC 269 review. Well, considering UFC 269 was about a week ago, I'm a little bit late to do that. So I thought, what's better than a UFC 269 review? I know, a UFC year-long review. So I decided I'm going to do a review. I'm going to move the microphone closer so I do. We had some technical problems a couple of days ago when I last recorded. The microphone wasn't plugged into the phone correctly, and the audio was a little bit not amazing. So I've checked it's working today, thankfully. Yes, I thought we could just have a little. I'm not a encyclopedia of UFC knowledge, but I've watched all the main cards this year, unless they were pay-per-view. I refuse to pay for pay-per-view. I actually feel sorry for people in America. The prices they're charged, it's crazy money. But yeah, I'll just have a little look at the current champions and have a little chat about the year that they've had. So let's get into it, guys. So I have not all of these are champions. Let me look. No, they're not all champions currently, but this is the UFC pound for pound division or table. And at the top of that table we have Kamaru Usman. Usman, who is the current, what bloody champion is he? I always forget this. Let me look. He is the welterweight champion. I'm terrible with title names. The welterweight champion. And he's had a good year. Let's not forget he beat Colby Covington twice. He's the one champion that I like him a lot because he will try and fight as often as possible. You get some champions who will only defend their belt once a year. This is why I was not a big fan of Stipa being the heavyweight champion, because he'd fight once a year pretty much and then you wouldn't see him. Whereas Usman tries to do like 3 fights a year. Last year he might have even done 4, I'm not too sure. But he's had a great year. Still the champ. Beat everyone who he's been put in against. He has 4 title defences, including 5 if you include the win against Woodley, when he actually took the title off Tyron Woodley. He's on a 18-fight winning streak currently, with 9 wins by knockout. Let's see if we can find the results. Here we go. So he beat Covington November 7th. He beat Masvidal April 25th. He beat Gilbert Burns February the 4th. Think about that, okay? He is the champion of his division. He fought February 14th of this year. On the 25th of April, so like 9 weeks later, he fought again against Masvidal. And don't forget, he was knocked down against Burns early on and came back to finish him in the 3rd round. Before that, it had been July of the previous year. His previous fight was against Masvidal. In December 2019, he fought Covington. It's crazy that it was that long ago. Like, it doesn't feel like it was December 2019. So 2 years ago, his first fight against Colby. Ain't it crazy how quick time flies? Like, literally, it does not feel like it was 2 years ago. That is bloody bonkers. What the hell? Where has time gone? That is mental. So yeah, he's beaten Covington twice, Masvidal twice, Burns once. So I know it says 4 title defences. Let's just look at this. Covington, that's for the title. Masvidal for the title. Burns Volkanovski. Now, this man, oh god, he splits opinion, in all honesty. He beat the previous champion, Max Holloway, to get the title. In a match that Holloway was coming into in the last maybe 2 rounds. I felt if he continued for another 3 or 4 rounds, maybe a 9-round fight, he wins it, Holloway does. Unfortunately, the first 2 or 3 rounds he wasn't that good, and he lost the fight. Okay, fair enough. They had a rematch. Holloway clearly won the rematch, and yet didn't get the title back. So that's one of the reasons I'm not a massive fan of Volkanovski. But then I watched him against Brian Ortega this year. I think he's only had the one fight this year, Volkanovski. Let me look. I'm sure it's just that one against let me click on his name for some bloody reason. Let me look at Usman's details, but not Volkanovski. Right, hold on. Here we go. So Volkanovski this year has had he beat Ortega in September, and then his previous fight was last of July against Max Holloway. Because him and Ortega were meant to fight previously, a few months earlier, but I think Ortega got COVID or something or an injury. But yeah, they were on The Ultimate Fighter as rival coaches, and there was a great performance by Volkanovski, or Volk, in which he beat Ortega. It was a mental fight, one of the best of the year, in my honest opinion. And yeah, he's growing on me. But next in line is a rematch, a trilogy with Max. And after seeing what Max did earlier on this year, well, he's had a couple of fights recently. Yeah, I feel like Max for the to regain his title and be the rightful champion. Third, we have Israel Adesanya. Izzy. He's not that much going on this year. Fight with Jan Blachowicz, where he went up a division. Jan was clearly too big for Izzy, too strong. Just basically put him on his back and took the victory easily. Jan did. Disappointing for Izzy, but I didn't like the matchup to start with. Izzy is going to be fighting Whitaker, I think, in February or March. February 12th against Robert Whitaker, the man he took the title from in a really, really good performance. This year he's fought Marvin Vettori in June. Jan he fought in March. And his previous fight was against Paulo Costa in September of last year. So yeah, he had Jan in March, and then within like 2 or 3 months he was up against Vettori, a man who a Francis Ngannou punch. No chance in hell. So yeah, he's only fought once this year, I believe. Let me look. Look. He's on a 6-fight win streak. He beat Stipa in March. I mean, the UFC aren't really using him appropriately, in my opinion. I don't know why. I don't know if they like to think of him as a bit of a money-making freak show, maybe because of the size of the bloke. But it'd be like WWE did with The Undertaker at WrestleManias. But in the last 2 years, he has only fought, let me just look at this. In the last 3 years even, so going back to the beginning of November, beginning of 2019, he beat Cain Velasquez, then he fought Dos Santos in the June, then he didn't fight till May 2020, so 11 months, when he beat Jorginho Rosenstrike, and then he had to wait until the following March of this year to face Miocinch. It's only 4 fights in 2 years for somebody who's not had any injury problems. It's not a good record to give him. So he beat Miocinch. He's going to be going up against Cyril Gane in... when the hell's that fight set for? Sorry guys, I know it's for next year. I can tell you now. January 23rd, so less than just over a month off. Now Cyril Gane is the interim heavyweight champion after defeating Derek Lewis in an interim title fight. And Ngannou's not happy at all that the UFC set that fight up because he was happy to fight. I think there was an issue, he wanted like a little bit longer before a match with Cyril Gane. He wanted a couple more months because they'd made him wait so long for a fight. He was like, no, you can wait now until I'm ready to fight. So the UFC basically said to him, if you don't fight, we'll set up an interim title fight, which they did, to give them a clear challenger for his belt. So Gane beat Derek Lewis, and then became the next challenger for Ngannou's belt. But these two are former training partners in France. Gane is French and Ngannou is Cameroonian, but trains out of France, or used to anyway. He trained out of France for a long time. I reckon Ngannou retains his belt in that fight. Yeah, I expect Ngannou to defeat Cyril Gane when they fight early next year. Next we have Charles the Bronx Oliveira. Now I'd obviously heard of his name. I tend to watch the main cards of UFC fights. I really watch the prelims. And if a fight's boring me a little bit, I whine through it sometimes. But I've watched his last few fights. From the one from him beating Tony Ferguson. I was watching that one for Ferguson, but he absolutely battered Tony in that one. To his win over Michael Chandler for the vacant title. What titles he holds currently? The lightweight title. So Habib was the Habib Nurmagomedov. I always forget his surname. Habib Nurmagomedov. You know the one. I honestly can't say his name. Habib Nurmagomedov. Nope. Right, this is not good. Let's try and get this right. Habib Nurmagomedov, if that's right. He walked away from the UFC, vacated his title, and Charles Oliveira had a match with Michael Chandler to determine the new champion, and he was nearly out of it. Chandler looked like he was going to knock him out, the submission on Chandler to win the lightweight title. This last week at UFC 269, he had his first title defense against Dustin Poirier. And what the hell did we witness? I could not believe it. I thought Dustin was going to sort him out and knock him out. The Bronx tapped out Dustin. I thought, what the hell? It was bloody brilliant to see. Shame for Dustin, because he had a great year. 2 wins against Conor. Set up this fight with Charles. But no, that is his second shot at the title from what I know. He lost to Habib and he's just lost to Charles. He's going to do a lot to get another title shot against the Bronx or any other future champion. Next we have Jon Jones. How the hell Jon Jones is in this list, I do not know. The man has not fought in over a year. His last fight was against, what's his name? The one who's gone off the rails a bit. Let me look. So he vacated his title, the one that Glover Teixeira now holds. His last fight was February of last year against Dominic Reyes, a fight which most people believe Jon Jones lost, including me. But still, he finds himself right there in 6th place of the pound for pound list. Crazy. Next we have Max Holloway in 7th place. Title shot for him early on next year against Volkanovski. He's won his last 2 fights. Absolutely battered. What was his name? Let's have a look. Calvin Cater. Battered him. Came through the fight against Yair Rodriguez, winning via decision. Not an easy fight, that one wasn't for him. But yeah, Max looks like he's back to his best. Especially at Calvin Cater fight where he was talking to the commentators whilst he was beating him up. It was crazy to see. In at number 8, Dustin Poirier, he's dropped 3 places. I watched him against what's his name? Charles Oliveira. I like Dustin, I really do. But he's that one-track minded. Literally, he just wants to stand and punch. He has no interest in kicks. He has no interest in wrestling or jiu-jitsu or any of the other combats that you can use in UFC. He just wants to stand and punch, and that is not going to win you a title. You can't be a flat track bully against somebody like Charles Oliveira or some of the other people you'll find in that division. Won't work. I mean, it goes up against Gaethje. Gaethje can go with the best and with the punches, but you can also kick and wrestle. So I wasn't surprised, I guess, when I look back at it, see Dustin lose that title fight. In at number 9 we have Stipa Miocinch, who I don't think is a fight set up. Let me look. As far as I'm aware, he doesn't have a fight set up yet. Nope. His last fight was March of this year when he lost to Francis. Again, I wasn't disappointed to see Stipe lose. He's a very much one fight a year kind of guy. I know he does a lot for like his local community and his family, so he actually prioritises being a fireman over being a UFC fighter, which I guess is right, to be fair. In at number 10, Brandon Moreno. I really enjoyed watching this bloke. So his last 2 fights he's fought Davidson Figueiredo. He's going to fight him a 3rd time soon. The first time he fought him, he was the challenger, and he narrowly lost. was the 4th round. Sterling was getting battered. And then Sterling ended up on the mat. Jan stupidly threw a knee at Sterling's head, whilst both knees were on the ground or something or other. That's an illegal move. Sterling was given the chance, look, you can carry on, or we can stop the fight and you get the title. Knowing he was getting his arse whooped, he chose to stop the fight. And Jan lost his title. He's going to get the rematch after beating Corey Sandhagen recently. This year was a really good fight with Sandhagen, but rightfully Jan won that fight. And I think it says something really when, if you look through the top 15 on the pound for pound list, you have Jan, who's not a current champion. You have Jan, as in Jan Blachowicz, he's a current champion. So Piotr Jan's the interim champion, isn't he? You have Stipe and Dustin, not champions right now. Max isn't a champion, Jon Jones isn't a champion. Neither is Whitaker. And yet they're all on there ahead of Aljamain Sterling. I think that just goes to show what the UFC really think about Aljo and his screwjob win, because they don't honestly believe he deserves to be in the top 15 pound for pound, or be the champion, I guess. So I reckon Jan beats Aljo when they get the rematch. He'll beat him convincingly and take his title back. Next, at number 12, we have Glover Teixeira. What can you say? What a legend. He's 42 years old. He won his first UFC title. I think it's his first one. This year, when he took on Jan Blachowicz. Glover is the light heavyweight champion currently. And he absolutely battered Jan Blachowicz. It was crazy to see. Blachowicz didn't seem to turn up for the fight, didn't seem to want it. As soon as Glover got a submission choke on him, he was tapping like a baby. I was like, you're the champion, what are you doing? He did not want to be in there any longer than he needed to be Blachowicz. Glover is the current light heavyweight champion of the world. Who else has he fought this year? I don't think he's had any other fights this year. Let me look. So he beat Blachowicz. Before that, it was last November against Thiago Santos. So fair play to Glover. And then we have in 15, we've already mentioned him once, Cyril Gane, who is the interim champion, light heavyweight. He'll be going up against Big Francis after he was able to defeat Derek Lewis for the interim title. Just a little mention of the other champions in the UFC, the women's. So we have Rose Namajunas, who is the strawweight champion. She beat Zhang Wei Li twice. First one via head kick. It was a crazy head kick. I was a big fan of Zhang because that fight she had with Joanna Jędrzejczyk. When Joanna ended up with like a golf ball on her head, it was crazy to see. But Rose came back, defeated her in the first fight, and then defeated her in the second fight. We have flyweight champion Valentina Shevchenko, who's just unstoppable. I don't think there's anyone who can stop her. Maybe Amanda Nunes could have done, but whether or not that fight will ever happen again now, because I think they're 1-for-1 at the minute. They've each won one fight each, I think so. Amanda is no longer the bantamweight champion, she's still the featherweight, but she lost the bantamweight title to Juliana Pena last weekend in a shock defeat. I had Amanda to win that every day of the week, she was knackered in the second. Absolutely knackered. And I think it was in the third she ended up tapping. Or was it the second? I can't remember now, second or third. Yeah, she was just done in. And it could be that she was just relieved to not have the pressure of the title around her, as some people are. Or it could be a case of, she just didn't train properly. She's got other things going on at home now. She's got a daughter. She's got a wife, other things that interest her maybe. That happens with people. But yeah, overall, it's been a really good year for the UFC. They've come through COVID. They never let it stop them. This year they've gone back in front of audiences. Last year, they continued doing UFC events without any fans there. They are risking losing Nate Diaz early on next year. He wants to go and have a fight with Logan Paul. If that happens, he will probably have to walk away from the UFC. Masvidal, is he coming towards the end of his career? Leon Edwards, what a great year he's had. I didn't mention him. A great year without actually getting his title fight that he deserves against Usman. Edwards had a fight with Belal Muhammad. He was stopped due to an eye poke. And then he had the fight with Masvidal, which he won convincingly. So, not Masvidal, did he? Sorry, my bad. He was meant to fight Masvidal, and he was stopped, cancelled before it could happen. He had the fight with Nate Diaz, and he was winning convincingly until the last 20 seconds of the fight when Nate caught him with a punch. And Edwards looked quite dazed and confused, but he still went on to win the fight, thankfully, because that would have been a horrible way to lose after dominating for 4.5 rounds. So yeah, it's been a good year in general for fighters. Conor came back twice, lost twice. I think Conor's done. He'll still be in the UFC because he's one of the ones that you could lose 10 fights and people still pay to see him. But his days of beating big names are long gone. You put him in there against Dave Cerrone, like I did like that time, or somebody else of that calibre, Tony Ferguson. Conor wins. Put him in there against a decent fighter, and Conor's done for. Tony, I think his days are behind him, his best days. Again, it's just